Today's video, we're going to talk about price testing as it comes to making specifically your Google ads or Facebook ads work better than they are before in terms of actual profit. This is a method that is totally free for you to do and literally takes, well, for the most part, no effort whatsoever. Going into your Shopify dashboard or your e-commerce site dashboard and making a quick price change, how you could be making 10, 20, 30, 50% more money than you're already making just by making that one simple change. Of course, all the truth is in the details. You can't just jack up your price to double and many times get away with that, which is the reason why you don't mess with pricing. But I can tell you, first of all, if you just randomly have set your prices, you haven't done any testing, how could it possibly be that your pricing is set to maximize the amount of profit you're making from your ads? Maybe there's a 1 out of 100 shot you're perfectly at the perfect point where you maxed out the amount of profit you're going to make from your ads, where basically you're going to get selling your products for as most as you can and at the highest ROI you can from your ads, given a lot of times selling your products, for less money will make you more profit because you'll get a higher click-through rate on your ads, and which will drive your cost per click down and will get your amount of clicks up for the same money in ad spend. That's the way to go, generally to go. But so with that considered, it's very unlikely you have the prices set to maximize maximize the amount of money you can make from your ads. Question is, what is the price point? How do you get to there in the most efficient way possible? That's exactly what I'm going to cover in today's video and give you some basic foolproof methods that I'm going to use with my clients' campaigns, as well as campaigns that I run for the companies I run. I have multiple companies that I own, including an ad agency, where we use price testing to get the most results out of every single campaign that we're running. And I'm going to do this every single time because, like I said, random is not how you get the most money from your ads. So that said, getting into the content, most of you guys who have picked random prices for your products or service, again, are throwing tons of money away. Free profit. Why? Because also, not only just does it not make sense that you've got the prices set for the most money, unless, because what most people will do is they'll say, I need a 40% profit margin. So every single product that they're selling or every single service they're selling, they mark it up, enough to where you have a 40% margin. And the truth is, if you're selling more than one thing, by the way, the price that you could get away with selling it at isn't going to be 40%. In other words, you'd be better off taking a higher margin on some products that sell better and a lesser margin on products that sell less good. So at least you get some sales versus no sales because the pricing isn't set right. But beyond that, beyond that obvious fact, if you were going to change your prices, most people don't change prices because they're a fear, whether substantiated or unsubstantiated, that raising the prices is going to scare away their customers. But I could ask you one question here right now. If you changed your prices by $1, would that affect whether or not customers buy or not? If the answer is no, well, then I've already proven the point that you could change your pricing and not scare away customers. The only question is, how much is too much? Or if you said yes, by the way, how about 1 penny? Would 1 penny change how many people are willing to buy from you from the ad campaigns you have running right now or not? Or any traffic source you have, by the way, or not? The answer to that has to be no. And so the question is, how much can I raise them without affecting my conversion rates that I'm getting on my traffic that I'm getting from my ad campaigns? That is what you have to figure out to be able to get the free extra money that's just sitting on the table that's waiting for you to come scoop it up. So I'll tell you from 100% from experience, which will happen for you as well, the main point in which where you're going to raise that price so much that the amount of people that come from your ads end up buying from you less and click through your ads less, if assuming the price is shown in your ads, is where there's $10 or $100 price breaks or increments, if you will. So in other words, if you sell something for $60, where you'll be able to get away with raising your pricing as long as you don't go past $69. Whereas everything from between 60 and 69 is just basically free money. Why? Because there's a strong psychological trigger when people see things that go from like $60 to $70 if you're, assuming what you're selling is between $10 and $100. And then that scares people away. If you're going from 2 digits to 3 digits, that's a very, very strong psychological trigger where people think what you have is significantly more expensive. Even if you just go from $99 to $100, the same thing technically would be true going from $9.99 to $1,000. But if you're in the three-digit price point bracket, going from $469 to $479 for the most part isn't that bad because you're now in the 3-digit category, and you're not going to really see a big drop-off in your sales unless you're hitting 500 already. So just kind of know going in that if you are serious, you're going to take my advice, you're going to do price testing to maximize and see where's the cutoff point where raising my sales is going to cut into the conversion rates on my traffic that I'm paying for. Just know going to the next 10-digit factor or 100-digit factor or 1,000-digit factor is where most of the drop-off in your conversion rates is going to happen. And everything in between there is basically free money. So if I only gave you that advice alone, you'd already be making more money than what you're making now. Unless you're already at $69 and 70, obviously drops your conversion rates and you can't go up any higher than that, then maybe for you guys, you're not going to gain much from this video, but I got more here. So a lot of you guys you could raise your price quite a bit and you're just kicking your own ass by not having your prices higher when your prices are under what your other competition offers, specifically with the word comparable competition comes into play. So there's a lot of people that sell a lot of things in your market, but they're not all equal to what you have to offer. Not in terms of the quality of what you offer and the substance of what you offer, but also intangible factors such as the quality of your website. People judge a book by its cover. If you have a shitty website and a great product, that product's going to be perceived as a shitty product too, just because it has crappy packaging, i.e. that website. Also, based upon your brand recognition, has anybody heard of your company before when they see your ad? If they've heard of your company before, they're immediately going to be willing to pay more than if they didn't hear of your company before, which is why you want to actually, I get when you're starting out, you're struggling, you don't go after this stuff, it's fine. But there's a certain point where if you don't invest into branding of your company, you're only going to get so far. And yes, people don't like to do it because it doesn't get an immediate return. And the ad spend overall or marketing budget you have for your company overall, the ROI is going to go down when you start investing into branding style advertising. But it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just works over a different time scale. You do everything you can to get Google ads to work for your company or Facebook ads, trying to sell something to somebody right away. And then once you've taken that as far as it can go, you start investing into brand advertising. And you don't just show up for any random person, you show up for people that are most statistically likely to be a customer of your product or service that you sell sometime in the near future, which, for most people, and for like most of the time in our situation, it's going to be people looking for information on Google. If I sell elevator repair services, that means going after all the people I can that are searching for elevator repair services, extract all the value there, then coming up with a buyer's guide on how to actually hire an elevator repair company without getting ripped off. And then when somebody searches for how to choose an elevator repair company on Google, I have my guide there, and I try to get them to read my guide. Even though I know they're not ready to hire somebody yet, I invest my money because when that person later on does go to buy from somebody, I am now statistically more likely to buy. Not only just from them remembering my name, but more importantly, when they go to Google, because most of the time they're still just going to go to Google to hire somebody when the time comes, whether or not that they did that research or not. When they go to they Google elevator repair companies near me, and they see my ad pop up, and they see my ad and it looks familiar, the business name looks familiar, I'm 4 times at least more likely for them to go and click on my ad in that situation, because people are going to go with who's most familiar when they see those ads, when they skim those ads. So I put in the work ahead of time to get so that the people that are regularly searching for a company are picking me at a much higher rate than they had before. So whether or not they've heard of you, though, heavily weighs how much value what you offer seems to have. Brand names can sell for higher price points. It's just like going to the grocery store. What Oreo cookies are more than the Sure Value cookies because they can get away with it. Building in brand recognition in your market, offering content, builds up how much you can sell your product or services for. So eventually, you invest into this branded content, you educate the public, and to finance it, you raise your prices. See how this goes together now? Anyway, tying all this back to what I was originally talking about, when you're trying to see if you're priced right in your market for your products or services, you have to compare these tangible and intangible factors to see, are you, of the people that are competing against you, which products or services are at your level on a product by product basis. And if you're underpriced, you need to raise your damn prices, because you're going to be seen as a cheap solution. There's a certain percentage of the market who isn't even going to buy from you because stuff that looks too good to be true, they aren't going to buy. But more importantly, you're just leaving money on the table that doesn't need to be left there. And you should raise your prices and raise them a lot. So, and then other intangibles, by the way, are like your reviews. The more reviews you get on your product or service, the higher the price you could sell it for. So what we were going to routinely do at our company is when we start out, we're going to take less margin and through having less pricing to get our foot in the door in that market. And then as we start to accumulate more reviews, we're going to slowly raise that pricing. So that pricing should never be what it is where you start out day one, a year in, 5 years in, 10 years in, and so forth. And then, of course, the tangibles, the traits that your product or service has, it has XYZ power, and it has this speed. Of course, that all goes into factor to see who you're most like in your market, and then those people that you're most like, whatever they're priced at, that's what you basically should be priced at. It generally almost never will be to your advantage to price yourself under what other comparable solutions in your market are priced at. You just have to be good at figuring out what the value of your product or service is in terms of the traits of it directly, as well as the perception of that product or service based upon its reviews, the quality of site it's on, and the brand recognition that you have. And then once you figure that out, if you're underpriced, raise your pricing, because that's just all free money as well, okay? Furthermore, going further here, another tip I can give you that where people mess up a lot of times is, of course, the lower you offer the product, the more sales you're going to get almost every time, right? So, especially on Google, like with Google shopping ads that most people use, because they're the most profitable thing that works in most markets, you're there lined up next to other products that a lot of times are cheaper than you. So if you lowered your price, you're of course going to get more click-through. That more click-through gets you more sales, and the cost per click is going to also come down because of Google's quality score system. So it's to your advantage to lower your price if you can get away with it, right? And you could sell more at a higher conversion rate, or the cost per click can come down. So what a lot of people don't consider or think about when they're running these shopping ads is, maybe if I'm selling multiple items, why don't I have at least some of the items in each category of what I'm selling be cheaper to so that Google has something to show that I'll get a very high click-through rate because it's the cheaper, like, you know, mostly the cheaper one in that category, so that they at least click through and I get that buyer to my site. Because once I get them to my site, I can get them to buy. If they don't get to my site, I can't get them to buy. To give you an example, we had a paint brand that we were representing. We were selling products around $210 to $220, but they had one paint brand or one paint product in that category that it was in that was selling for $190. And even though the product was cheap and people weren't buying it, what was happening when we split tested having that $190 product versus the $210 product that most people ended up buying anyway from them is the $190 product was twice as profitable as the $210 one because people saw the $190 and was overwhelmingly more likely to click on that ad because of the price than the $210. And then, but it was more profitable because it got higher click-through, so we were able to get more sales. But the ROI was higher by a long shot, specifically because people were, you know, like I said, higher click-through rates get you a lower cost per click, but that's not even the bigger thing. More people were clicking through that 190 because they saw the 190, but they weren't even buying the 190. They would get to the site and end up buying the 210 anyway. So for a lot of you guys, you should have a product that's a little bit less than your competition by like 10%, just so that you can look when you're lined up side by side with the other competition in your category, that your ad gets clicked through at twice the rate that it normally would, just by being the cheapest person in the shopping space for a set search result, you'll have about twice as much click-through on your ad by being the cheaper one, even if it's slightly cheaper, even if it's 10% cheaper. And then with that, knowing when they get to your site, they're probably going to just want to buy a different product anyway that has the full features. That's a very good way to do price testing, not going up, but lowering your price in order to make more money from your ads. So, but furthermore, in addition to that, a lot of times, you know, obviously you lower your price, you can get a higher click-through rate on your ads, which will make you more money in terms of lower cost per click then. But you can lower your product price and then just have I mentioned about cross-sells, how you can just ultimately attract them in with the low price. It's a little bit less than everybody else and then get them to buy something else, which is cross-sells. You can do upsells. You can lower your price, be 10% cheaper than other people you're competing against to drive that click, and then you can get them to upsell during the checkout process. Or you can get them to get a subscription, get this order to, you know, get it delivered every month on schedule and have an option for that. And even though only 3% of people go with that subscription option, the lifetime value of your customer quadruples on the 3% that does it, which makes up for the 10% drop in cost of the product that you have on the front end. So people don't think about things this way, if you will. Furthermore, we've in the supplement space, we do this all the time. Instead of just having the one product there, when they go to checkout, you offer two of them for a little where you get a discount on two, so that per bottle price for two is less than one. And if they choose that, then guess what happens? You have three for an even cheaper price per bottle than what you did with number two. And if they choose that, you see how this goes. You just keep going. And then that raises the amount of revenue you're going to get per sale. And then, so what you could get away with lowering your price 10 or 20%, so you're the lowest person out of all the people advertising on Google in that case, because you're going to make it up on the back end with the people that upsell to buying 2 or 3 or 4 or whatnot there. So it's another way to go about giving yourself room to lower the price so that your ad gets clicked through at a much higher rate. Because the bigger problem in most markets is, I just touched on this a little bit ago, that there's only so many people ready to buy your product or service today on an ongoing basis, searching on Google in general, or just in general in your market ready to buy. And so before you go wider and try to convince people who don't want to buy today to buy, it's much better to figure out how to get more people to click through that are ready to buy, because that's easier, more profitable to do first. And If you could lower your price a little bit so much higher percentage clicks on your ad, then you can make a lot more money, and you can make room to do that by just adding a simple upsell to your sales process for the people that are already ready to buy, that are already committed, and just by asking a simple question at the end of the sales process before they check out, you can make it possible to lower your price by 10% and then end up with way more profit from the people that are ready to buy in your market on an ongoing basis. So that's something also to consider as well. So you can go down in price and actually make more money because the click-through rate of your ad gets much greater when you're cheaper than your competition, if you will. So price testing, those are the main highlights that I could tell you about price testing. Now, obviously, all you're going to do price testing is you're going to lower your price or you're going to raise it, and you're going to do it in small increments. Of course, there's a point where you're doing it in such small increments that you're going to hurt yourself, because anytime you make a change with your ads, technically, that'll cause volatility in your numbers. But ultimately, if you want to be ultra safe, what I would recommend you do, if you're going to go up in price or down in price, like I said, do it in 3% increments at a time. Go up in price 3% or down in price 3%. And then just see what happens. Ultimately, if you're going up in price, of course, right? Or even down in price, we'll just say down in price as well. You make the change, and then you're going to watch the conversion rates on the traffic that you get from your campaigns. If that's unaffected after a reasonable amount of time, so you have statistically significant data, you're going to do it again. And you could Google statistical significance calculator to help you decide if you've had enough clicks to know if the rise in price or the reduction in price really did affect your conversion rate or didn't affect your conversion rate. And then you'll want to know within at least 90% confidence, statistically significant confidence level, that your conversion rate wasn't affected, and then you do another 3%. And you just keep going until you find, going back full circle on what I was saying before, that point in which you do start affecting your conversion rate, and then that's the point where you basically can stop. But not doing that, that's really just dumb. You're leaving a ton of money on the table. You work way too hard in your business to not figure out how high you can raise the price before you got an effect in your conversion rate ultimately. And in almost every case, you're going to be able to raise it some. That might only be 3 or 4 or 5% or 10%. But raising your price 10% when all your hard costs stay the same, that could basically quadruple the amount of money you're making per sale. Depending on how tight your margins are, right? So, and with no effort, basically change the price. Out of all the stuff you can do to try to improve your campaigns, this is like the easiest thing that there is. So you could change your price to get higher click-through. You can change your price to just maintain your conversion rate and get more money per transaction. So there's some different options available to you, but you should definitely figure out what you should be doing and do it on an item by item or service by service basis, because that's going to get you more results than trying to just do up 3% on everything, because that's just not granular enough to get you near the results you can get out of doing this so-called price testing. And don't just do this once. Do this once a year, because inflation, your competitors are going to go up in price. So you've got to be doing this testing like this once a year. But furthermore, as you go further into business and you're doing things right, you're going to be more of a known name. You're going to have higher and better reviews on an ongoing basis, which gives you more room to raise your price and get away with it. So anyway, with that said, I'll pretty much wrap it up with that. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, or in general, any PPC/ad related questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you give the video a like, so I can help get the content out there to help other people like you. And you should consider subscribing to the channel, as this channel is chock full of information just like this that can help you make millions of dollars, literally speaking, with ads on Google, Facebook, and so forth, as this information comes straight from the source on somebody who just does ad strategy all day long in for dozens of different ad accounts on an ongoing basis to give you the real information on what's working as well as what's not working in today's environment, versus getting it from a YouTuber who doesn't run an ad agency like I do, or separate companies that I own and run ads for that prove I know what I do, know what I'm doing, and know and understand business. So you should subscribe, and if you like my work on this channel, you'll also like my work on my blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, where there's written content from myself, as well as on my column at entrepreneur.com. You can find written content from myself as well. So if you like the channel, you like my written work especially, it's even better actually than the channel itself. Beyond that, if you are looking for the best ad manager to help you get more results on your campaign, I can get you results on your campaign, and I guarantee all the work that I do will actually increase the profitability of your campaigns. If you're interested in seeing the details on that, reach out to my firm at guaranteeppc.com. I can get you an assessment on what you're doing, estimate how much sales results I can get you, and what kind of guarantee results I can get you in terms of what we can guarantee as a part of that estimate of increase in sales, if there is an actual increase that looks like can be done. I don't work with just any client, but if it looks like you have a great product or service, it just needs the best marketing added on top, I'd love to be able to see if we can work together. As a side, if you're not looking for an ad manager, but you just want better results, I have ad templates that work in your market, if we've worked in your market before, that you can use to copy and paste results into your advertising accounts. And a lot of these markets we've worked in for years to build up the results for clients in a market, in another geographic market or in a different country or whatever, of which you could literally just take the results we've gotten for your market already and then use them for your own market. Pay a one-time cost for those results and actually save way more money with those templates than you would trying to figure out all the same stuff for yourself. If you reach out to my firm at guaranteeppc.com, I'll tell you if we've worked in your market and what results we've gotten in your market, so you can decide if you would be interested in those templates yourself. You certainly aren't going to save money figuring the same stuff out for yourself, as we've spent so many thousands to just do testing in your market that there's no way it's going to be cheaper to figure all that stuff out for yourself for the most part. But beyond that, if you're interested in that, you can reach out to my firm as well. I'll wrap it all up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, you found a lot of use from it, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later.